Okay. Hey, it's Monday in the Woodlands, and I'm outside my counseling place today here in the Woodlands. So you can see, I mean, literally everything in the Woodlands is the Woodlands. Hey, thank you guys for watching these videos. It's been crazy, like for real. 2 weeks we've had almost 8,500 views on these videos. So thank you so much for watching them. Keep watching them. Every week's gonna be a little different. Like this week, we took a little field trip outside. I'm not sitting in my truck, so let's get to it. I brought a prop this week. This is a keyboard. Hey Darren, why'd you bring the keyboard? God, I was hoping you'd ask. So I talked last week kind of about how your brain works, about how when we take stuff in, when we experience things, trauma happens, chaos happens, our brain kind of gets wired a certain direction. These pathways start to form, and the more times similar things happen, the broader the pathways, and the more we're kind of stuck with those thoughts. But then I gave you this idea, this word neuroplasticity, which means we can start to change the way we are thinking, change the way we react, change the way we process information. So I thought I kind of developed that a little further this afternoon. Imagine, if you will, you're at the hospital, and you go look at the little baby nursery. You know, where they take all the babies to where the mamas are done with them for a little bit. They've been waiting on the little baby to arrive for 9 months, but usually after about an hour, they're like, "Okay, can you take us to another room?" Imagine that you're in that room, and you're just kind of looking at the window. You're kind of gawking at all the little babies, and imagine if you walked up to the window and you saw the doctor come in the little baby room. And the doctor came in, and he had a whole little cart full of keyboards, and he walked up to each little baby, and he took the little cord and he plugged the little cord into the little baby's brain. Now I know that's disturbing. Okay, don't think about that too long, because it's weird. Like Black Mirror, that show Black Mirror is kind of like that. But then everything that anyone said from that point forward, any experience that they had began to be kind of typed into their brain, and their brain started being programmed with this code. That's literally what happens to us from birth. Everything that we take in, whatever we see, hear, touch, smell, taste, is being coded into these programs into our brain. And the more a certain code is programmed, the more we begin to believe that is true. And so that's where I found myself. I've had these programs coded into my brain my whole life, and I've never known what to do with them other than to believe that that's the program I'm stuck with. That's the program that I guess I'm always going to have. I guess I'm always going to be a bit of a pessimist. I guess I'm always going to see problems before I see solutions. I guess I'm always going to be fearful at the unknown. And so today, what I want to do is, that guy walks by and he's confused. What I want to do today is just kind of share just a few pointers that I think can help. And I shared this with a group of teenagers this last Wednesday night for the first time, and it's kind of helped me make sense out of things. Here's a few things we can do to begin to reprogram our brains. Okay, last week I gave you hey, let's think about the small things. Let's be gracious and have gratitude for the small things. And a lot of you said, hey, I started doing that. It's crazy how much it helps, because it works, because of science mainly. But this week I want to give you a couple more things to kind of follow up on that idea. One, I think we need to start taking better control of our keyboards, quite honestly. A lot of us have people in our lives, and have had people in our lives that through the years have just kind of taken the keyboard and turned it around on us and just kind of typed in whatever they wanted to type in, and kind of the expectations that they have for us, the things that they want us to do, want us to be, the things that they feel like we're not good at, the things that they feel like we need to be better at. And so I just want to encourage us this week to begin to be conscious of who exactly is putting code into your brain. Like, who are we spending time listening to? And look, if it's a bunch of negative nonsense, let's Control Alt delete it and shut it down. Okay? So that's the first thing, is take control of our keyboards. And that may mean for some of us that we don't follow certain people online. That means that maybe we're not friends with certain people on Facebook because they're always negative. You don't have to allow that in your life. Facebook is an option. Who you follow on social media is an option. It's not a requirement. For some of us, that may mean, and this is going to mess some of y'all up, for some of us, that may mean stop watching the dang news. Because you're like me, you watch the news channel that agrees with you the most, and you watch the news channel that disagrees with the people that you disagree the most, and before you know it, you've watched 7 or 8 minutes of the news, and you can't hardly sit still, you're so angry. Turn the dang thing off. Stop watching the news first thing in the morning. You're setting your whole day up because you're handing this thing to some news network that cares little about you, and you're saying, hey, tell me what I need to be thinking about today. Stop it, turn it off, shut it down. So take control of your keyboard. Second thing, I'm going to teach you something. If you're typing a document or you're writing a book, and there's this little shortcut on your keyboard called Control H, and it's the replace feature. And what that means is if you mistype a word and you keep mistyping it, you keep misspelling it, or a phrase that you go, I just don't like that phrase, I want to replace it with something else, you can hit Control H and you can pop up a little screen on the side, and you can go in, and everywhere where you've mistyped that word, you can replace it with the correct word. That's how our brains work. You don't just get to shut stuff off. Like, I'll give you an example. Everybody think of, okay, the colors coming up on here on the screen, that you guys that are watching like live, the colors are green, so I want everybody to be thinking of green. Think of green money, think of everything green that you know. Think of green leprechauns hat, leprechauns underpants are green, everybody knows that. Just think of green. Now I want you to all of a sudden just stop thinking of green. Don't think about green anymore. Don't think about the different shades of green. Don't think about what money looks like. Don't think about the trees behind me. Don't think about my shirt that's green. There's no way your brain can do that. It keeps thinking about green unless I say, okay, let's take blue for a second. Let's start talking about blue. All the things that are blue, the sky's blue, the ocean's blue. Unless you live in Galveston, then the ocean's brown like chocolate milk. And I love chocolate milk even though it's not the ocean. And now all of a sudden, see, what you're doing is you're not thinking about green anymore. That's how your brain works. We've got to replace the things that are negative in our minds with things that are positive. That's what the Bible says. It says think about things that are right, things that are pure, things that are holy, things that are good. And that gets rid of all the things that are negative. And the last thing, and I'm done, you have the ability, once you take back control of your keyboard, to rewrite your story. You can rewrite your story. In Romans, Paul says to the Romans that you can completely transform who you are, watch this, by the renewing of your mind. Like, God can change who you are by the renewing of your mind. It's like he was already on to this stuff a long time ago before the old brain scientist ever figured it out. And so I want you to be encouraged in that. If you're one of those that's struggling, or you know somebody that's struggling, rewrite your story. Take back control of the keyboard and rewrite your story. Thank you for watching again. I hope you share this with people. I hope you pass it on. I'm going to include somewhere on the comments in the next several hours the contact information for the place I use here in the Woodlands if you guys are local. If you're not local, hey, get help somewhere. Make some contacts. Ask your pastor if he knows any good counselors. Ask your friends if they know any good counselors. But I just pray that we keep getting better together. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Darren. Monday in the Woodlands. Cue the credits and the outro music. I think I want to use that song, that CeeLo Crazy song. I think that'll work.